All right, so as I was saying before, welcome back to round three of the X-Wing Miniatures game Central Texas Regional Tournament taking place here in South Austin at Mage's Sanctum. Here in round three, we have a combination list for Jonathan running the Rebels with a Super Dash using the more modern interpretation with Kanan Crew running, of course, Outrider with HLC, Push the Limit, and Engine Upgrade. And then we see the very contemporary component of this list, Miranda, present with Connor Nets, Enhanced Munitions, Thermal Detonators, Sabine for some more punch to those bombs, and Advanced Slam. Dennis, his opponent, flying Imperials, a variation on the classic Palpatine Aces from last wave's meta, with Soontir Fel, using Push the Limit, Royal Guard title, auto thrusters, and stealth device. So very common build out for Soontir, opting for more defense rather than offense. Merrick Steele, the other, with Veteran Instincts, TIE X7, giving him the evade when going any speed 3 or higher maneuver. And the Omicron group pilot running the shuttle with Palpatine on board and a collision detector, which is a 0-point upgrade, is always a smart choice to include on any shuttle if you're going to put one in your list. So here at the opener, we see that we've got a pretty typical mix of debris placement here, or obstacle placement, I should say. This could favor either player pretty equally. Dash largely ignoring obstacles means that it's going to be a non-issue for him. And these small gaps between some of these lanes gives Miranda the opportunity to drop some pretty effective bombs on her way through. Of course, this also works in favor of Imperial aces of all sorts. Defenders are fine maneuvering through rocks, and obviously interceptors, especially Soontir, has no problem working his way through tight rock formations. Here we see Soontir aggressively pursuing a flank down the right side of the board, working his way quickly behind both Miranda and Dash, with Merrick being a bit less aggressive on the attacking maneuver, opting to come straight up the middle. I anticipate that we'll see Merrick bank off to the left on the subsequent turns, potentially to help intercept Miranda. What I think is going to be a struggle here is intercepting Dash. Dash should have a relatively easy time getting effective shots on both Merrick and on the shuttle. But engaging Soontir at this point is going to be a different story. Here we see Soontir opening up already on Miranda. We have what looks
That's
like...
That's going to be one evade and then a crit and a hit.
Yep, one hit, one crit. So Miranda already taking some damage out of this round, thanks to Soontir's aggressive approach. And a pretty good opening attack run for Soontir, who with this build out, especially considering the state of the metagame right now, it's typically a bit light on offense, but we're not seeing that, at least not so far. Again, checking range for targets for Dash. No one available. And that'll do it for this turn. Moving on to the next. It'll be interesting to see how much Soontir can capitalize on his current position here, being forced into either a faster straight or one of his two speed turns. It means that Miranda could potentially decide to just outrun his range this turn and stop taking additional fire.
Honestly, when it comes to this sort of a situation, I mean, other than remarking on how absolutely aggressive it looks like Soontir Fel is being, it's not one of those things where I can make that too many predictions this early in the game about what's going to happen.
Well, it really comes down to, I think, where we're going to see Merrick end up and whether or not Miranda is going to be able to capitalize on that aggressive pursuit with some bomb use. Some thermal detonators, as Soontir attempts a pursuit, would go a long way toward dissuading him from coming any closer.
No, your omnidirectional is too powerful.
So Dash moving over a rock, barrel rolling out of the way to make sure he still gets a shot this turn, setting himself up nicely to potentially engage with Merrick, depending on the maneuver he chooses. And here we see Miranda. Interesting, going for a too hard turn, deciding what to do next, and going for a focus. Soontir opting to activate before Merrick this round, with Jonathan graciously performing a too hard turn. I'm expecting we'll see a barrel roll to the left and rear here, most likely. Yep, there we have it. Barrel rolling left and backward. Make sure those auto thrusters are activated and get Soontir into a nice engagement position. Opting for the double focus and stress. Merrick now coming in with a 3-bank. Or was that, yeah, 3-bank, getting the evade token assigned. Choosing to take a focus. I'm not sure what this additional token is that's on the table here. All right, we have dice being thrown by Soontir. Looks like 2 hits out of that attack against Miranda. Miranda with 1 evade. Some pretty good evade rolls from Jonathan on Miranda thus far. Managing to avoid 2 damage for 2 attacks. Not bad at all. Merrick opening up. Again, looks like seeing 2 hits, I think. Double evades. So Miranda now engaging Merrick, range 3. Opting to take a shield, reducing her attack pool. Getting a focus on the die result for no hits, but a shield added back into the equation. Checking for obstruction between Dash and Merrick. It is an obstructed shot. Here comes the heavy laser cannon fire from Dash. We have 2 hits. Defense dice coming out. 2 evades natural. No need to even spend the token. Merrick manages to avoid additional fire this round. Shuttle checking for a shot. None available. And we're on to the next turn. So, dials in the works here. So it's going to be interesting to see if Soontir continues this method of pursuit. Obviously, if he manages to stay off on Miranda's right side, he can continue to engage without being too terribly concerned about a bomb drop. But it's a precarious position to find himself, as Soontir getting hit by a bomb, especially backed by Sabine, is going to very quickly find himself in dire straits. I believe that we will see the shuttle continue to trundle its way slowly forward here between these two asteroids. Yep. Setting up to at least block one clear lane for Dash there. Dash charging forward. Opting for a straight boost. Getting out of the shuttle's firing arc. Will he decide to push? He does, and opts for a target lock against the shuttle. So setting himself up to start putting some damage on Palpatine, making it that much easier to deny Merrick those easy critical hits once shields come down, and make Soontir a bit more likely to take effective fire as the game progresses. So not a bad call by Jonathan here, as the combination of Merrick and Soontir both benefiting enormously from Palpatine's presence. The K-Wing maneuvering clear. Question again. Here we go. The first of the bombs out on the table. A very well-planned Connor net coming from Jonathan. Guaranteed to hit Merrick at that range, so they've simply opted to drop the effects in place. So that will be damage from Sabine, double ion, and no action being available for Merrick this round. I think that was a good choice of maneuver for Merrick, having turned around the asteroid. Even if he's going to drift next turn, it's not a bad place for him to do that. And we see Soontir now breaking away from Miranda. Looks like the possibility of getting a thermal detonator was enough to convince him to move a different direction. And then boosting to get himself into a better return position next turn. Dash checking range for targets. Merrick in range 3, still having that evade token. Just goes to show you how lovely the X7 title can be. We have attack dice on the table. We have one crit and one focus, opting to Palpatine that focus result into an additional crit. One evade coming from Dash. starting to put some hits on Dash. Dash now choosing to continue to follow his plan and engage the shuttle. Looks like we have, with the target lock, 3 hits. Shuttle getting 1 evade, courtesy of that obstructed shot. And we are on to the next turn. My expectation is that we will continue to see Dash just work on this orbit around the shuttle now that he's managed to get behind him. Dash can be most effective turn over turn, just simply driving damage through against the shuttle. With the biggest gun, and that being the target he is most consistently able to hit, he can very effectively reduce all of the tactical options available to Dennis simply by slugging away at that shuttle. Meanwhile, it'll be interesting to see if Miranda can get herself back into position and continue this bombing run that she's started here. A thermal detonator is going to be clutch against both Soontir and potentially Merrick as the game goes on. Yep, here we see Dash continuing that orbit. The shuttle, once again, just slowly moving forward. Merrick clearing those ionization tokens and drifting 1 forward once his move comes along. So here we have Dash taking a target lock against the shuttle. Miranda now turning 2 to the left, coming back around, possibly to either assist further against the shuttle or set herself up for another run against Merrick. Soontir remains out of position on the bottom edge of the table. We're still going to see at least 1 round, potentially 2, before he's in a position where he has any impact on this fight. And with some good die rolls, it's possible that the Emperor may be a non-issue by that point. Here we see Soontir turning in hard and barrel rolling around the asteroid to prepare for next turn. .51 minutes left in the round. Merrick checking for a shot against Dash. It looks like he may have just eked out a range. 3 attack dice coming in. We have 1 hit and a focus. Looks like we have 1 evade result, so Dash manages to avoid fire from Merrick this round. There we have obstruction checking. Soontir engaging Miranda with all blanks coming out the gates. Not the kind of result that Soontir wants to see. And Miranda opting to help out Dash and continue to engage the shuttle. Choosing to recover a shield, gets 1 hit, spends the focus to drive that hit result through. And let's see, shuttle coming up blank, taking 1 more damage from Miranda. Dash now unleashing that heavy laser cannon. Spending the target lock. Getting a blank and the focus for 3 hits against the shuttle. The shuttle rolling 2 dice in defense. Opting to spend a focus. And Palpatine for 2 evades, taking only 1 further damage. And again, that's one of the benefits to not having many of your fighters engaged when the shuttle is the focused target is you always have Palpatine available to help dig him out of a hole. Even 1 damage at a time, it can make a difference as the game goes on. So going into the next turn, we have 49 minutes on the clock. Merrick Steele currently down 1 shield. 3 shields stripped off of the shuttle this far. Dash still sitting with 4 shields on board. And Miranda at 3. No hull damage yet to be cashed in yet this game. Maneuvers coming out on the table. I think once again we can prepare for Dash continuing to keep the shuttle just inside range 3, allowing him to keep dealing as much damage to that as possible. We may see Miranda attempt to set up a good bomb position between these rocks here, with the expectation that either Merrick or Soontir will pursue in at closer range. Activating the shuttle. Dennis performing a 2 bank off to the right, just continuing that gradual sweep across the table, taking targets of opportunity where possible, although when dealing with 2 very wily ships, shuttle isn't getting many opportunities to fire this turn. Now Dash, surprisingly enough, not aggressively pursuing the shuttle, simply moving along the top of the table. We'll see what he does with his actions this turn. Checking for a target lock against Merrick. Doesn't look like he has it. Opting to take a focus and simply calling it there. So Miranda now activating, turning into the gap between these 2 asteroids. This isn't too far from what I expected to see. Potentially following this up with a slam and a bomb in the hopes of catching Merrick in a turn to the right. Jonathan clearly pondering his options here. Once again, not opting to try something risky and simply going for the focus. Soontir committing to the approach between these 2 asteroids. Looks like he's going for that flank shot against Miranda once again. Possibly now barrel rolling in close within range 1, staying out of arc. Setting himself up for a strong attack against Miranda here. Choosing instead for the evade, getting the focus when he pushes. Well, potentially a good call there by Jonathan, with Merrick opting for the 4K turn. He'll get his evade token and his focus action, I'm sure. Choosing a target lock instead. Miranda suddenly finding herself in a pretty tight spot. Looks like narrowly avoiding a shot from Soontir, who's opting instead to engage Dash. The shot from Soontir coming up with 2 hits and a blank, Dash blanking out on his result, taking all 3 hits. Merrick now engaging Miranda, range 2. Merrick with 1 hit, opting to spend the target lock into 3 hits for Merrick. Focus being spent for an evade result. 2 hits then, passing on to Miranda. That's a strong round for Dennis. Definitely the kind of round he needed after Soontir was out of position and the shuttle found itself in a pretty tough spot. Tables have turned rather quickly on Miranda's position. Now she's got to deal with the tight situation of both of this list's heavy hitters pointed directly at her. Miranda choosing to engage to gain a shuttle, rolling 1 natural crit result against Soontir. No real expectation of a hit here, and no hit occurs, but that does regenerate a shield for Miranda. Now we have Dash opening up. Heavy on the focus results, spending that focus, an easy decision for 4 hits. Soontir with the heavy defense coming in, many blanks, opting to spend the focus for 2, spending the evade for 3, and adding Palpatine to convert for the 4th. So once again, living up to expectations, Soontir can take a mediocre evade result and come out almost entirely unscathed. This is just further emphasis on exactly why Jonathan needs to try and get Palpatine off the table as quickly as possible. This will be an uphill battle for him now, with Palpatine having slipped the net and opting not to pursue him in the last round. Dials coming back down on the table as we get started for the next turn. 42 minutes left on the clock. So again, this is another opportunity for Miranda to attempt to capitalize on the position of both Merrick and of Soontir. A quick dash just straight forward between these two, and potentially an opportunity for a thermal detonator. Also an opportunity for a counter net. Either one could be very advantageous, especially if Dash were to turn in toward this fight, try and line up an otherwise weakened target. The shuttle opting to stop, taking a stress. Here comes Dash, turning back into the fight. Boosting straight forward, aggressively approaching Soontir's position. And pushing off the boost for a focus. Miranda now performing a 2-bank to the right. Again, if there were any time I'd expect to see a thermal detonator, this might be it. Slamming instead, possibly preparing to drop a counter net once again on Merrick, who's already had to deal with one this game. And there we see it, counter net being deployed against Merrick, once again positioned well enough that there's no hope of escaping that. So Merrick taking a damage from Sabine. There we see some hull damage finally being accumulated against Merrick. Double ion, action denial. Of course, Merrick calling the possibility of Miranda making this maneuver pretty nicely, setting up directly behind her in what is a basically perfect firing position. Still able to shoot this turn. Miranda may seriously pay for that counter net this round. Soontir turning away from Dash. And we can assume continuing Dennis's pursuit of Miranda across the table. Taking a focus is the first action. And it would appear standing there with only the focus. Soontir opting to engage Miranda. Looks like that's going to be a range 3 shot. Here comes the fire. Looks like 2 hits. And 1 evade coming up on the dice for Miranda. Once again, continuing to consistently get at least one of those evade results. Merrick now engaging Miranda at point-blank range, delivering 3 hits, opting Palpatine for a critical hit. Unable to see that evade result. Looks like we have 3 hull damage being dealt. Merrick now fishing for his choice of crit. Dennis pondering his options. The options he's considering are Major Explosion, Direct Hit, and Blinded Pilot. Looking at the number of hull remaining on Miranda at this time, 3 hull remaining on Miranda. Trying to decide what he wants to go with. Opts for the Direct Hit, leaving Miranda with 1 effective hull left on the table. Once again, we can see Merrick in combination with the Emperor is just a brutal force once those shields come down. Continuing to weigh their options on the table, determining targets. And here we see dials coming down. Merrick obviously will be drifting forward this round, having been ionized by yet another counter net. Miranda again finding herself in a tight spot, having taken significant damage in the last exchange of fire. Doesn't have to worry about Merrick being able to pursue, but Soontir is certainly in a position to be able to capitalize on the K-Wings' lack of ability to make those quick, sharp turns. Soontir obviously having much more advantage firing at range 3 than Miranda does. The shuttle clearing the stress with a green maneuver. Once again, continuing that slow forward move. Simply pressing forward across the table. Dash now hard turning in, likely hoping to try and dissuade Soontir from aggressively pursuing Miranda. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a barrel roll to the left to put that forward firing arc. Oh, interesting. A barrel roll to the right. opting to press right up against Soontir's position and then pushing for a focus. And now Miranda. And a very good move by Miranda, opting to drop that thermal detonator now that she knows that Merrick will be in position to be hit by it this turn. This actually should take care of Merrick. The combination of the 1 damage from the thermal detonator and the added damage from Sabine should strip off the last 2 hull that he has left, all but guaranteeing that Merrick is done. A good move by Jonathan there with that bomb placement. Here we see Merrick drifting forward, clearing those ion tokens. Choosing now with his action to barrel roll in an attempt to put himself outside of range of that bomb. And here we're seeing one of the drawbacks of the Connor net in its current interpretation is that while it does deny actions on the turn in which its effect is applied, if that effect is applied before or during a maneuver, that means that in the following turn, when the drift takes place, that ship does still have its action once those ion tokens are clear. And it looks like Merrick may very well have used that barrel roll to avoid taking a hit from the thermal detonator. So, good move on Dennis's part, maintaining his cool and remembering that he had that option available to him. Soontir not taking any chances either with the thermal detonator or with Dash's frontal firing arc, opting to boost around the rock and make sure to get completely out of range. Merrick did effectively dodge the thermal detonator, and thus that guaranteed kill shot that looked like it might materialize didn't happen. Miranda would appear to be weighing her target options. So we see Miranda engaging Merrick, trying to get that kill that Merrick denied her just a moment ago. Here comes the shot. 1 hit, 1 focus. Choosing to spend the focus for 2 hits. Merrick, lacking that evade token, only has the Emperor and his dice to back him up. Coming out with 2 natural evades, and that largely evaporates Miranda's hopes of putting the nail in Merrick's coffin. Dash now opening fire, coming in with 3 hit results. Tokenless Merrick coming up with 1 evade. On 3 hits, opting Palpatine to save him from being shot down this turn. And the shuttle, once again, left with no targets. 30 minutes on the clock going into the next turn. We have Merrick Steele still with 2 hull damage applied, 1 hull remaining, 2 shields remaining on the shuttle. Miranda still in this fight with 1 hull and 2 shields remaining on Dash Rendar. Maneuvers being planned, carefully considered by both players, evaluating their options. So again, Miranda finding herself in a tough spot. She's got the guaranteed to be slow-moving shuttle ahead of her, quite possibly boxing her in, making it impossible for her to escape any sort of a kill zone. Giving just enough room here with this one bank. And setting her up for Soontir to sweep in from her left side. Here we see Dash continuing to maneuver in the attempts to capitalize on Dennis's focus on Miranda. Were I a betting man, I would put good money on this being Miranda's last turn on the table. Miranda banking one to the right, taking a focus action. And Merrick, once again, damn the asteroids, plunging straight through with a high-speed bank, making sure he continues to get that evade result, and taking a hit in the process. Palpatine preventing that from being the disaster it was about to be. Soontir now coming in, also in an attempt to continue this kill box against Miranda. Boosting in to make sure he's got that in-arc shot. And digging in with those tokens, double focus. Soontir engaging Miranda to open up the round. Oh, looks like they're checking arc for Merrick first. Now Soontir engaging Miranda. Three attack dice, one hit coming up in the exchange. Unable to evade, Miranda taking yet another shield. Miranda reducing her die output to regenerate a shield, taking a shot at Merrick, spending the focus for two hits. Merrick without the Emperor to back him up. Good call on that maneuver, having gotten one evade result on the dice and one for his token, managing just to stay in the fight. Dash now engaging Merrick as well, trying to get the heavy damage dealer off the table. That's at least three hits that we can see registered. Checking for obstruction now to see if Merrick's going to get that bonus die. Doesn't look like it. With one evade result, that is not enough to save Merrick this time. And against my predictions, Miranda's still on the table and Merrick shot down. This is by far the heaviest offensive component of Dennis's list. And even with Miranda limping along at one hull and one remaining shield, it is very possible for Jonathan to turn this game around. While Soontir may remain a target just too elusive for the guns that Jonathan's brought to this fight, the Emperor absolutely is not. Focused fire on the Emperor and the combination of points gained between Merrick and the Emperor may very well give Jonathan exactly the edge he needs to win this game. 25 minutes on the clock as we move into the next round. The shuttle now taking a more aggressive turn, assumedly in the hopes of bringing those guns into this fight, as Soontir alone just doesn't have the offensive punch that's needed to deal with Dash. Dash now taking a target lock on Soontir, hoping to get those shots and leave the Emperor alone. Interestingly enough, Miranda opting to drop a thermal detonator within range of Dash as she makes her maneuver out. This could potentially catch Soontir, although his repositioning means that he may very well be able to avoid it. Oh, this is going to be close, folks. Miranda successfully blocking Soontir as he attempts to maneuver, sitting right along the edge of the explosion radius of that bomb, but not being affected by it. Instead, taking a damage and a stress from the thermal detonator on Dash. But Soontir now blocked and quite vulnerable to cannon fire from Dash. One die. There's the attack from Dash. Rolling the target lock, coming up 3 hits against Soontir. Soontir with his massive die pool. No modifications outside of Palpatine attempting to avoid. Palpatine adding 1 evade result. And I believe Soontir may have escaped that exchange of fire without taking any hull damage. So here we see the shuttle opening up against Dash with 2 hits. Dash coming up, taking 1 hit, losing another shield in the exchange with the shuttle. So the question now is whether Jonathan has really begun to accept exactly how difficult Soontir will be to hit so long as the Emperor remains on the table. That shuttle really needs to be shot down before he has any strong chance of putting damage through on Soontir. As we just saw, even with a block, he was unable to deliver the hits he needed. Heading into the next round, 21 minutes on the board. I think we can expect to see the shuttle attempt a block on Dash. With the stress in place, no actions will be taking this turn regardless, but a block will certainly help slow him down. Shuttle with a 1 forward, taking up a fair amount of space, potentially preventing Dash. Oh, Dash opting instead to turn away from the fight, setting himself up for attacks against the shuttle. Miranda with a 1 forward and opting for a focus. Soontir with a well-timed K-turn, taking his stress and getting a focus per his pilot ability. setting up nicely behind Miranda and preparing to engage her. Here comes a shot from Suntir, close range, looks like 2 hits on the dice. Dennis weighing his options for modification. Will he bring the Emperor in on this one? He does, adding in a crit result. 1 blank evade from Miranda, taking 2 hits and a crit. Miranda being shot down. Everything comes down to Dash. Can Dash dish out enough damage against that shuttle to turn this around on points? 1 hit and 1 evade result from the shuttle. If this keeps up, I don't think Dash is going to be able to get that shuttle clear of the table. And the shuttle returning fire with what looks like 2 crits and a hit. Dash with 2 evades. A very strong attack from the shuttle. Dash taking a critical hit against his hull. Didn't get a chance to see what that one was. Turned face down immediately. And here we move on to the next round. Once again, Jonathan's best attempt at turning this around to concentrate fire on the shuttle and hopefully remove it from the table, giving him the ability to simply try and avoid taking any further damage from Suntir. Although with half points being given up by Dash, I believe that lacking a full kill on Suntir, Jonathan may find himself behind the curve on points. Here we see Suntir getting back into position to engage, out of range to fire at Dash. Dash, however, being in range to engage the shuttle. Stronger roll this time, still not what Jonathan really wants to see. 2 hits against the shuttle. Opting to use the Emperor, suffering only 1 hit on his shields. Once again, the Emperor continuing to make life as difficult as possible for Jonathan. The shuttle returning fire, 2 hits and a focus, converting to 3 hits. Another strong attack from the shuttle. 2 evades from Dash this time, or at least 1 evade, potentially 1 focus, taking 2 damage on the hull. So it looks like 1 natural evade result there. Really unfortunate turn of events here for Dash, having been in what should be an ideal firing position for him, unable to capitalize on that damage output and getting simply torn apart by the shuttle round after round as it drives incredibly accurate fire into his hull. This round, expecting to see Suntir bring his guns back to bear. The shuttle making a hard turn once again, trying to keep its arcs pointed straight at where Dash may end up. Dash deciding he's had enough of this particular game, doing a hard turn away from this engagement loop. Potentially adding a boost. Yep, there we have it, doing a boost to the right to get out of that shuttle's firing arc. Very close to that rock. We'll need to confirm position.
That might put you in arc. Do you want to go this way? You can take that back if it doesn't fit on the table. It fits on the table for sure. We'll go that way. This way. Pretty much parallel.
So it did land on the rock, and then choosing to barrel roll to the left toward the edge of the table just to make sure that he doesn't continue to take fire from that shuttle. And here comes Soontir. Biding his time. Once again, choosing to stress for an action stack. Possibly planning for a higher speed forward green maneuver next turn. No shots this round as we go back to dials again. 13 minutes on the clock. Shuttle moving forward, clearing that asteroid. Potentially putting himself in the path of Soontir. And Dash, as expected, having broken out away from the shuttle. Continuing his maneuvers to try and get into a position to be able to engage the shuttle without taking return fire. Soontir breaking off of the line that he was currently approaching, and instead setting himself up to cut off Dash in his attempt to get behind the shuttle. Good call by Soontir, having predicted where Dash would want to be. And here we see Dash opening up again against the shuttle. Re-rolling the target lock and still not coming up with good results. The shuttle evading the attack with Palpatine. Once again, leaving Dash with nothing to show. Yet another attack against the shuttle goes absolutely nowhere. Just not going Jonathan's way at all this round. Once again, back to dials. 10 minutes on the clock. Jonathan getting pressed for time to try and get some points turned in his favor here. Set of difficult decisions ahead of him, knowing that his chances of hitting Soontir are almost nil, engaging the target he knows he needs to destroy, and still just being unable to get the hits onto the hull of that shuttle. Dash now slowing down with a 1 forward. Dennis nicely predicting where Jonathan was headed, having now lined up a shot against Dash, certainly outside of his firing arc, opting to bunker up, taking a focus, pushing for an evade, getting an additional focus. Engaging range 3 against Dash. Looks like the focus has been spent. I see one hit for sure, one evade. Looks like that was enough to take care of Dash. Dash eliminated by Soontir at range 3 to close out the game. Good game for both Dennis and for Jonathan. Some quality play on both sides. Dennis doing well to maneuver around and catch Jonathan, and Jonathan just really hurting at the hands of those ineffective shots from Dash against the shuttle. That really was the deciding bit for this game. If he could get that damage on target, things may have gone dramatically differently. But sometimes the dice just don't go in your favor. So once again, congratulations to Dennis Underwood for winning his game round 3 against Jonathan. We'll be back with you probably in about 20 minutes or so and pick up again for round 4. Once again, this is the X-Wing Miniatures game Central Texas Regional Tournament taking place at Mage's Sanctum in South Austin. I'm Evan, joined by my co-host, Michael Aiken. We'll see you shortly.